The great hall of the Galactic Peace Council was filled with lights, sounds, and tall beings from different worlds. Their clothes shone, their languages echoed in the air, and their eyes often glanced at the one small human sitting at the end of the long table. Ambassador Rena Taylor sat straight, her hands calm, but her heart was not. She had trained for this moment her whole life, representing Earth in front of the oldest, most powerful alien civilizations. Today was Earth's first day in the Council as an observer, and she wanted to make it count. But things weren't going well. A large insect-like alien named Velter from the planet Nivarn stood and spoke loudly. "Humans cry too much," said, waving one of his thin arms. "In our viewings of Earth transmissions, humans weep during music, at moving pictures, even when animals die. What use is such a species in matters of war, survival, and strategy?" Many other aliens chuckled or nodded quietly. Rena stood slowly. Her heart pounded, but she held her ground. "Yes," she said clearly, "we cry. We cry because we feel deeply. When we lose something, when we remember pain, or even when we see great beauty, yes, we cry. But that doesn't make us weak. It makes us real." The room was silent for a moment. Then came a few quiet laughs again. Some aliens looked confused, others bored. The council leader, a tall being made of crystal named Alron, simply nodded and said, "Thank you, Ambassador. We will review your planet's request to join the Strategic Defense Alliance." That was it. Back in her quarters later that night, Rena wiped away a tear. Not because she was sad, well, maybe a little, but because she knew the truth. The aliens didn't understand humans yet. The next day, a large spaceship arrived at the council station. It had an Earth flag on its side, and it was old, scratched, and not nearly as shiny as the alien ships parked nearby. But it came with someone special, Commander Elias Brooks. He was a retired Earth military officer, tall, calm, with gray hair and sharp eyes. He had seen war. It led people through disasters. But more importantly, he had survived them on. Helped others survive too. Rena met him at the docking bay. "They think we're soft," she said quietly. Elias smiled. "Let them think that. For now." Later that week, the council held a new meeting. This time, the topic was defense strategies against a rising threat called the Vicaria, mysterious species that attacked outer colonies but refused any form of communication. Several alien commanders shared their ideas. Some were advanced, some were strange. But none had faced enemies like humans had. Over centuries of war and recovery, Elias stood and gave a short talk. "We don't train to win," he said slowly. "We train to endure. We don't fight because we enjoy it. We fight because we must, and we carry every loss with us." A Thoran officer named Geryonik, with 4 arms and a voice like gravel, asked loudly, "How can a species that weeps for its enemies teach us anything about combat?" Elias looked at him and replied without anger, "Because we know exactly what it costs. You call us emotional, I call it aware." Silence again. This time no one laughed. That evening Geryonik surprised everyone by knocking on Rena's door. He stood there awkwardly, his large frame almost too big for the hallway. "I wish to understand," he said. "Your people, your way of feeling, it seems to give you strength. Teach me." Rena smiled. Not in pride, but in hope. The next few days were quiet on the council station, but a strange thing began to happen. Alien officers, strong, proud, once dismissive, started requesting short meetings with Elias and his team. They asked about human battle tactics, yes, but also about something else. How do humans deal with fear? How do they stay calm after losing someone? How do they go on? Elias shared simple truths. "We talk. We remember, we cry, and then we get back up." Some aliens didn't believe it at first, but they came back the next day, and the next. One morning, Rena found a message in her inbox. It was from Geryonik. "Your people are strange. You feel so much, but you do. Not break, I think. I think I want to learn that kind of strength. Not just for battle, for life." Rena sat back and looked out the station window at Earth, shining in the distance like a blue jewel. They had called humans soft. Maybe they were, but maybe, just maybe, that softness was their greatest power, and soon the galaxy would understand. The council station floated in space like a giant metal flower, with its petals stretching out across the stars. Inside, things were beginning to shift. The laughter had stopped. The aliens no longer called humans soft with the same smile. They were starting to wonder. Commander Elias Brooks walked down the long silver hallway beside Ambassador Rena Taylor. Both of them had been receiving messages all morning from curious alien officers who wanted to understand more about humans, but not everyone believed. At a small private meeting, Leah sat across from several members of the Defense Assembly. These were high-ranking military leaders from across the galaxy. They had thousands of years of battle history behind them. The room was quiet as Geryanik. The four-armed Thorin warrior introduced Elias again. This human has agreed to share his knowledge. Geryanik said, "Let us test it." Elias stood up. He wore no armor, no weapon, only a plain Earth uniform. He looked around calmly. "I am not here to teach you how to fire a weapon," he said. "You already know that. I'm here to show you something else. Something human." One of the alien generals, a tall fish-like creature named Sovari, folded his arms. "Human feelings are a burden," he said. "Our soldiers are trained to forget fear. Yours seem to carry it like a badge." Elias nodded. "We don't forget fear. We face it, and we use it to grow stronger." Another voice chimed in. A female officer from the planet Serana asked, "But how? How do your people survive war, loss, destruction, and still walk forward?" Elias walked to a screen and tapped a few buttons. A video started playing. It showed humans digging through rubble after earthquakes. It showed people hugging after floods. It showed doctors and nurses helping in war zones, soldiers giving food to children, strangers helping strangers, all with tears in their eyes. It's all still moving forward. "This," Elias said, "is our training." Geryanik watched closely. He remembered the first time he had seen a human cry. He had thought it was weakness. But now he was unsure. Later that day, Geryanik joined Elias in the small Earth training room built on the council station. It was simple, some mats, chairs, and a small desk. Nothing fancy. "Teach me," Geryanik said. Elias smiled. "Then we begin." The first exercise was strange for Geryanik. It wasn't physical. It was quiet. Elias had him sit still and breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, Elias said calmly. Geryanik was confused. "This is not training." "Oh, it is," Elias replied. "Mental training. Control over the mind leads to control in the field." After breathing, they talked. Elias asked about Geryanik's best, his family, his first mission, what he feared. "I fear failure," Geryanik admitted. "I fear losing my team. Fear freezing in battle." "Good," Elias said. "Now we know what we're working with." Over the next few days, more aliens joined the sessions. They came quietly, not wanting others to see at first. Officers from distant planets, soldiers with scars on their hearts. Elias didn't shout. He didn't give commands. He asked questions. He listened, and he taught them something no one else had, that strength isn't the absence of emotion, it's the balance of it. Rena watched from a distance. She knew something important was happening. Even the council members began to notice a change. Ambassador Veltar, who once mocked humans, now observed Elias silently during sessions. During one meeting, he whispered to another delegate, "These humans, they don't train just for war. They train for survival of the spirit." On the 6th day, a new challenge arrived. A young alien soldier named Rello came to Elias. He had seen his entire squad lost in a past mission. He blamed himself. He hadn't spoken to anyone about it for months, now sitting in the Earth training room. He broke down crying. "I was supposed to protect them," he shouted. The other alien officers grew tense. Some looked away, but Elias walked forward, placed a gentle hand on Rello's shoulder and said, "That pain you feel? That's not weakness. That's love. That's memory. And those things don't make you weak, they make you human." Rello looked up, eyes full of tears. He wasn't a human. Somehow, he understood. That evening, Rena stood before the council again. This time she spoke not about history or battles, but about healing. You called us soft, she said. But maybe that softness is strength in disguise. We cry, yes. But we also rise, every time, again and again. Some members nodded. Some still weren't sure. But none laughed. In a quiet hallway later, Geronik met Rena as she returned to her quarters. I think I understand now, he said. Your kind does not ignore pain. You carry it. Still you keep walking. That is harder than I thought. Rena smiled. That's what makes us human. Outside the council station, a storm was building in the galaxy. The Vekari were growing bolder, attacks were increasing. The council would need more than weapons. They would need courage, patience, and something else. They would need the strength of a species that had spent thousands of years learning how to cry, heal, and carry on. Word spread across the council station like sunlight through glass. Aliens from different planets began whispering about the human commander who trained minds, not muscles. About the strange Earth methods that made soldiers stronger without lifting a single weapon. Curiosity grew. Doubt still existed, but so did interest. Inside the Earth training room, Commander Elias Brooks prepared for the day. He placed chairs in a circle and opened a simple notebook. No advanced tech. No war simulations. Just stories, breathing, quiet reflection. Ambassador Rena Taylor entered the room and smiled. You have a full list today, she said. 7 officers, from 4 planets. Elias raised an eyebrow. That many? More requests came. Rena added. Some want to observe first. Others, well, they don't want their commanders to know. Elias chuckled. Pride runs deep across galaxies. Rena nodded. But pain runs deeper. The first to arrive was Commander Telnari, a tall, cat-like alien from the planet Syraxis. She was known for her fast reflexes and cold temper. Chi entered with sharp eyes and a tense posture. I don't believe in soft training, she said. But I want to see what your people are doing. Elias gave a small smile. Then take a seat. You don't have to believe to begin. Moore joined. A glowing energy being from Helvos, horned officer from Drek, and Geryonik, always the first to arrive. Now a regular in every session. They began with silence, then breathing. Then the question round. Elias looked around the circle. What? Scares you not on the battlefield, but in your heart? The room fell quiet. Telnari frowned. That is not a question for warriors, she said. It's exactly the question for warriors, Elias replied. No one answered at first. Then the glowing energy being spoke. I fear being alone after the fight. Winning, but losing everyone else? Others slowly shared. Geronik spoke of guilt. Another officer mentioned the memory of a failed mission. Each word opened a door that had long been shut. Elias listened. He didn't offer solutions, only understanding. This is training, he said. Not for battle, for what comes after. Later that day, Elias introduced a new method, scenario recall. Each soldier closed their eyes and revisited a painful moment from their past, then described it. Not in technical detail, but in emotion. Nar resisted. Revisiting pain will weaken focus. But when her turn came, she hesitated, then spoke. My brother fell during the Frin War. I never told anyone. I kept training. I never mourned him. Her voice shook slightly. The room remained silent, respectful. You mourn now, Elias said. That's strength, not weakness. Meanwhile, Rena attended a council planning meeting. Tensions were rising. The Vicaria mysterious enemy species had started attacking outer stations again. Colonies were scared. Fleets were spread thin. One delegate suggested launching a preemptive strike. Another demanded stronger ships and more weapons. Rena listened, then stood. Strong fleets are not enough, she said. Your soldiers fear the Vicari. That fear will break them unless we teach them how to handle it. Few delegates scoffed. But council leader Alron, the crystal being, spoke calmly. And you believe humans can teach that? I know we can, Rena replied. Back in the training room, the sessions continued. One by one, aliens faced memories they had buried deep inside. Didn't cry, not all of them, but they felt. And they stayed. One young officer from the planet Volda named Luro had never spoken in the group. He always sat quietly. On the 7th day, he finally spoke. When I was small, my city fell to raiders. I hid under metal debris for 2 days. I saw my family taken. I never told anyone. His voice cracked. Its glow flickered. Elias nodded. And now you've told us. Carried that alone for too long. Luro blinked. It hurts less now. That's because you're not carrying it alone anymore, Elias said. Soon the sessions became more than just quiet meetings. Officers began practicing calming techniques before meetings. Some asked for daily one-on-one talks. Others wrote journals, something new to many alien cultures. The Thorin army back home heard reports about Geryonic's progress. They sent a message, request human emotional training program for border troops. The message surprised even Rena. Elias only smiled. It's starting. Then came the day that changed everything. A sudden message flashed across the council screens. Vakari forces detected near moonbase Xylan. Civilian colony in danger. Panic spread. Some fleets prepared to evacuate. Others argued about strategy, but something new happened. Geryonic stood up in the council room. So did Telnari, Luro, and several others. We are ready, Geryonic said. You only completed mental training, an elder general said. You are not battle ready. No. Telnari replied, We are better than before. We do not freeze now. We act. Council leader Alron looked at Rena. What do you say, Ambassador? I say, Rena said, we send them. Let them show you what trained minds can do. The council gave approval. A small team made up of trained alien officers was sent. To assist the evacuation, no major weapons, no battle, but they brought something more powerful. Calm under fear, clarity in chaos, and strength through emotion. The evacuation succeeded. Not a single civilian was lost. The galaxy began to whisper. Again, but this time with respect. That night, back in the training room, the officers sat in silence. They had done something important, something real. Elias entered the room slowly. You all did well, he said. Geryonic nodded. We were not. Afraid? Elias smiled. You were, but you didn't let it stop you. That's the difference. The stars outside the council station looked calm, but inside the station, tension had returned. Red alert lights glowed softly across the ceiling as the news repeated on every screen. Vakari fleet approaching Sector 9. Multiple colonies at risk. The council was in emergency session. Rena Taylor sat in her chair, calm but alert. Round her voices rose and fell in panic. They've never come this close before, one delegate shouted. They'll take Sector 9 if we don't respond. Now? Yelled another. Elias Brooks stood silently at the edge of the room. He didn't speak until Council Leader Alron called on him. Commander Brooks, what do your humans suggest? Shh. You trained our officers in peace. Now war is here. Elias stepped forward. We respond with clarity. It's not fear. The Council approved a mission. A multi-species team would go to Sector 9's moonbase Yari, where Vakari scouts were last seen. Their job was not to fight, but to prepare and protect the colony, to evacuate if needed, and keep panic from. Spreading Rena was chosen to go too. You're the one they trust now, Halran said. You're the face of Earth's strange strength. As the ship traveled through hyperspace, the team gathered in the common area. Alien officers sat side by side, Geryonic, Telnari, Luro, and several others from the Earth training group. Many had once laughed at humans. Now they quietly looked to Elias and Rena for guidance. Elias stood in front of them, hands behind his back. You all trained for this, he said. Not with weapons, but with your minds and your hearts. Luro, the glowing officer from Valda, asked, But what if they attack while civilians are still there? Then you keep the civilians calm. You protect without fear. And if evacuation becomes necessary, Elias said, you lead with courage. That is what we do. They landed on moonbase Yari quietly. The base was peaceful, but nervous. News of the Vakari movement had reached them. The local commander, a thin gray-skinned alien named Vurin, greeted them with suspicion. "You're here to calm people?" he asked. "We need ships, not stories." "We'll do what we must," Rena said gently. "But you'll see panic causes more damage than invaders." Vurin didn't argue, but his eyes showed doubt. The next day, they began visiting colony buildings. Rena held open meetings. Elias led breathing sessions with security teams. Telnari ran focus drills. Leroux spoke to young trainees about fear and memory. At first, the colonists were confused. Some even laughed. But slowly, things changed. A mother who had been hiding with her children came forward to ask for help. A group of miners started attending evening talks. Even Commander Vurin began to sit at the back of Rena's meetings, listening. Quietly then the signal came. Vakari ships detected. Arrival in 12 hours. Fear returned. Some tried to leave early. Others locked their doors. Children cried. Alarms blared softly. But this time, the team was ready. Elias gathered everyone. "In the main hall, no one here is alone," he said. "You're scared. That's natural. But you can still act. You can still help others." Gerionic stood beside him. "We trained for fear. It comes, but it does not control us," Rena added. "We are here together, and together we will protect each other." The mood shifted. People breathed more slowly. Security teams moved with purpose. The evacuation plan began calmly. No shouting, no panic, just readiness. 10 hours passed. The Vakari fleet stopped just outside the moon's orbit. No message, no attack, just silence. Everyone waited. A child asked her mother, "Are the bad ones coming?" The mother replied softly, "I don't know, but the helpers are here." Another hour passed. Still no action from the Vakari then. Suddenly, the alien ships turned and left the sector without firing a single shot. Shock spread across the base. Relief too. Why did they leave? No one knew. But some believed they had scanned the base and seen no fear, no easy weakness. They had expected chaos. Instead, they found calm. That night, the base held a quiet gathering under the dome. The stars above twinkled. The people were safe, and they knew who would help them find their strength. Commander Vurin approached Elias and Rena. "I was wrong," he said. "I thought crying made you weak. I thought soft words meant soft minds. But what you taught us, it saved this colony." "You saved it," Rena replied. "We only reminded you how." Gerionic and Leroux sat together, looking up at the stars. "I didn't freeze this time," Leroux said. "You were scared?" Gerionic asked. Terrified, Leroux admitted with a small laugh. "But I kept breathing, and I kept moving." Gerionic nodded. "That is strength." Back on the council station, the news of Moonbase Yari spread fast. A base full of civilians had prepared without panic. A multi-species team had worked together in peace. Humans, those emotional, tearful creatures, had led them. The council met again. This time no one laughed. No one doubted. One elder simply said, "Perhaps the humans cry because they care too much. But maybe that's exactly what we needed all along." The success at Moonbase Yari became the most talked-about event on the Galactic Council station. For the first time, a colony had prepared for a Vakari threat without panic. No chaos, no disorder, no weapons were needed. The alien news channels called it the calm response. Some council members began using a new term, the human effect. Inside the council hall, something rare happened. Aliens from different species quietly praised humans. They shared clips of Rena Taylor's speeches and Elias Brooks' training methods. Even skeptics began to admit maybe humanity had something special. Council leader Alren, the crystal being, called for a special session today, he said. "We reconsider Earth's membership in the Strategic Defense Alliance." Ambassador Rena Taylor walked into the council hall with her head held high, but her heart beat fast.
Ow.
This moment had taken years to come. The last time she stood here, they had mocked her tears. Now, the room was quiet with respect. Council members from many planets were present. Elter of Navern, Savari of the deep oceans, Garyonic of Thorin, each of them had once doubted Earth's value. Now, their eyes told a different story. Rena stood at the center platform. "I come not to ask for favors," she began, "but to share what we've learned. Earth has always been full of emotion. We cry, yes, we feel deeply, but we also rise, again and again." She paused. No laughter came this time. "You thought our emotions were weakness? But our tears taught us how to survive. Our pain taught us how to protect. And our feelings helped save a moon colony from panic." The hall was still. Then Council Leader Alron stood. "We have heard from others," he said, "but we wish to hear more. Let those who worked with Earth's officers speak now." One by one, alien commanders. Rose Jarianic spoke first. "I trained with humans. I learned more in 1 week than I did in 10 years of battle. I learned that fear is not something to hide, but something to understand. Because of them, I did not freeze under pressure." I led Telnari, the cat-like officer, stood next. "I used to believe strength came from silence, that feelings made you weak. I was wrong. My troops are now calmer, stronger, and more united than ever, because they were allowed to feel." Even Savari, once a strong critic, gave a small nod. "Humans are unpredictable," he said, "but they make others better. Their presence improves unity in ways we didn't expect." Council Leader Al Ren turned to the rest of the council. "Do any still object?" A few hands raised. One elder from the Vor system stood. "Humans are still new, still wild. Their past is full of war and error," Rena answered calmly. "Yes, our past holds mistakes, but so does every species here. What matters is what we've done since. We turned our pain into purpose. We share that strength with others." Alron gave a final nod. "Then we vote." One by one, members touched their panels. Lights turned green, a few yellow, lead to red. Alron looked at the results. By clear majority, Earth is now accepted as a full member of the Strategic Defense Alliance. The room filled with a soft chime of approval. Rena smiled, but not for herself. She smiled for the people of Earth, for those who had suffered, healed, and taught others how to do the same. Outside the chamber, Elias waited. When she walked out, she gave him a thumbs up. "We're in," she said. Elias nodded. "About time." News reached Earth within minutes. Cities lit up. People cheered. Not because they were now part of a galactic army, but because they were accepted for who they were. Children in schools learned that their emotions were valuable. Soldiers smiled at the idea that their training was respected by alien worlds. Artists, teachers, and leaders finally felt heard. Humanity had entered the galaxy not with weapons, but with wisdom. Back on the council station, Rena and Elias received invitations from planets across the galaxy. They wanted to learn, not about missiles, but about mental strength, emotional balance, and unity under pressure. A planet called Sorrel requested help building a Peace Corps. Another, called Drekken, asked for a joint training base, led by both humans and Thorin officers. Elias chuckled as he read the list. "So many wanted nothing from us last month. Now they want everything." Rena smiled. They finally understand. Crying wasn't the weakness. It was the doorway. That evening, a small event was held at the council's Garden Dome. A simple celebration. No fireworks. Just people, alien and human, gathered together, under a glass sky filled with stars. Telnurnik stood beside Elias. "Your kind surprises me," Telnurin said. Elias raised an eyebrow. "In a good way?" She nodded. "In the best way." Rena walked to the edge of the dome and looked out at Earth in the distance, a soft blue light in the sea of black. "We didn't change who we were," she said softly. "We just showed them who we've always been." In a quiet moment, an alien child approached Rena and offered her a small drawing, a picture of humans and aliens holding hands. "Is it okay if I cry sometimes?" the child asked. Rena knelt down and smiled. "Yes," she whispered. "That's where strength begins." Months had passed since Earth was welcomed into the Strategic Defense Alliance. Things had changed across the galaxy. And inside the hearts of many, the once silent halls of the Council Station were now filled with mixed voices, human laughter, alien greetings, and the sounds of training, but not the kind of training most had expected. This training didn't begin with weapons. It began with breathing, with reflection, with understanding. On a quiet morning, Commander Elias Brooks stood. At the edge of a new open field on Earth, the Galactic Peace Training Center had just been finished. It was the first school in the galaxy where humans and aliens would learn side by side not how to fight wars, but how to stay strong when everything felt broken. Ambassador Rena Taylor stood beside him. She looked at the flags from 10 different planets flying over the building. "Did you ever think we'd see this day?" she asked. Elias looked toward a group of young recruits, Thorin, Saraxi, Human, Boldal stretching together on the grass. "No," he said, "but I hoped." Inside the main hall, Juranik stood in front of a new class. He wore a simple brown jacket, no armor, no medals. The Thorin warrior had once doubted humans. Now he taught in their school. He tapped the board behind him. Lesson 1. Fear is normal. The room was quiet. Alien trainees looked confused. Some looked embarrassed. Jeranik continued, "The goal is not to erase fear. It's to walk beside it. To act even when it's heavy." A small hand went up. It belonged to a young, glowing Helvian student. "But my commander said fear is failure." Geryonik smiled gently. "So did mine. But then I met humans. They cry, they tremble, and they still keep going. That, to me, is a true warrior." Elias walked into another room where group therapy was being held. Chairs were set in a circle. A Serana healer guided the session, and Rena sat quietly in the back, observing. A young soldier from Drekken was speaking. His voice was shaky. "Lost someone on my first mission. I didn't know how to deal with it. I stopped eating, stopped sleeping." The healer nodded. "And now," he said, "I talk, I listen, I cry when I need to, and I get up again." Several others in the circle gave supportive nods. One placed a hand on the soldier's shoulder. Rena's eyes watered. Not from sadness, but from pride. Later that week, a ceremony was held at the Peace Garden outside the training center. Large stones had been placed there with the names of fallen soldiers, human and alien alike. But this was not a place of mourning. It was a place of memory, a place of growth. Elias led the ceremony. He wore his old Earth uniform, clean and pressed. "We are here today," he began, "to remember not only those we've lost, but also what they've taught us. Pain is part of us. But so is healing. So is strength. So is courage." Behind him, a group of children placed flowers at the stones. Some were human, some were not. A small Thorin child approached the stone with the name Captain Mayles carved into it. He placed a single blue flower at its base, then stood still, head bowed. Beside him, his mother wiped a tear. She didn't hide it, no. One mocked her. Instead, a human veteran stepped forward and gently said, "She cries because she loved." And that's the bravest thing anyone can do. The Council watched Earth's changes with growing admiration. Delegations from other planets began creating their own emotional training units, modeled after Earth's programs. Even the Vor elders, once cold and unmoved, requested copies of the human curriculum. One message from a Vor general read, "We never understood before. We thought stillness was power. But you taught us that motion through grief, through fear, through love, the path to true strength." One quiet evening, Elias sat under the stars outside the academy. The sky above, Earth was full of tiny light ships, satellites, moons. But one star caught his eye. It blinked gently. He remembered his first days on the Council Station. The way they laughed. The way they dismissed humans. Now those same people were his students, his partners. His friends. Rena joined him with 2 cups of tea. "Still can't believe it?" she asked. Elias chuckled. "Not really," She sat beside him. They sipped their tea in silence. After a moment, Rena said softly, "I used to cry in private. I thought it made me weak. Now people tell me I gave them permission to feel." "That's the power you always had," Elias replied. "They just finally saw it." The final class of the evening ended with something simple. Each trainee wrote a letter to their past self telling them what they had learned. One alien wrote, "Dear me, it's okay to feel afraid. It doesn't mean you will fail. Trust yourself. You are stronger than you think. Love, your future warrior self." In the final moments of the day, the school bell rang. Students walked out into the night. Some laughed. Some walked in quiet, thought. A few wiped tears, but no one hid their faces. And above them, carved into the wall of the training center, were the words, "We cry, we heal, we rise, together."